JMath.
In this video, we're going to practice the first principles formula, and I would encourage you to pause the video now, and then please try each of these 5 sums, see how it goes, let's mark it together, and at the end, you can see if you really understand this, or if you need a little bit more revision. Question 1. So find the derivative of fx if it is equal to 2x squared by using first principles. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to write down what they gave me. So fx is equal to 2x squared. And now I need to figure out what is fx plus h. So I'm just going to replace the x with an x plus h, and that's in a bracket squared. So if I FOIL it out, it's going to be x squared plus xh plus xh. I'm just going to say 2xh plus h squared. Finally, I can just times the 2 in. That's the most simplest form then. So 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared. Now that is what I write in the beginning of my first principles formula. So 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared, and then I just subtract the original. Okay, so as you would remember from the video we did, everything that does not have an h cancels out, and what's left over is then 4xh plus 2h squared all over h. I can now take out h as a common factor there, and I have left 4x plus 2h. The h's cancel out, and I am just left with 4x plus 2h. And now I am free to sub in the 0 into h, and I can just write the derivative of x is then equal to 4x plus 2 times 0, and therefore just 4x. Okay, great. How did you guys go with that one? If we give marks, you're definitely going to get a mark for expanding. You're going to get a mark for subbing in the formula incorrectly. Then for taking out h as a common factor, for then subbing in the 0, and then your final answer. So the second last mark for subbing in the 0, that can differ depending on the teacher, but they definitely want it on your page. So rather write it and be safe and get your full marks. Question 2, find the derivative of fx if it is minus 4x plus 2x squared by using first principles. First step, I'm going to write down the original, and then going to replace x with x plus h. So minus 4x plus h, and then plus 2x plus h squared. So I'm just going to distribute in minus 4x minus 4h. Then I'm just going to leave the 2 in front. So x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. And then last step, just going to multiply that 2 into the bracket. So minus 4x minus 4h plus 2x squared plus 4xh, and then plus 2h squared. Now I can just copy that to the first principles formula. So minus 4x minus 4h, and then plus 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared, minus my original in a bracket, so minus 4x plus 2x squared. Now everything that doesn't have an h is going to cancel out, so minus 4x will cancel out with that minus 4x. The minus 2x squared would cancel the plus 2x squared. In this step, I am then also going to take out h as a common factor, and I am left with minus 4 plus 4x plus 2h. That enables me to cancel the h's, and now I can just rewrite what I have so I don't make a mistake. Plus 2h, and then I can sub in the limit of h is 0, so minus 4 plus 4x plus 2 times 0. Final answer to the sum is 4x minus 4. Okay, let's see where you would get 5 marks. So simplifying the x plus h, subbing incorrectly, so taking h out as a common factor, and then using the limit and getting the final answer. So there is my 5 marks. Question 3, find the derivative of minus 3x cubed. So not a very difficult sum, but the foiling out process just takes very long, and it's very easy to make a mistake. So please focus with this. So what you're going to do is minus 3 and then x plus h. But because it's cubed, it means there's 3 of those brackets. So I can write it out 3 times. And in my first step, I'm going to FOIL the last 2. I never multiply the minus 3 in. It just makes it so much more complicated if you multiply it in at the beginning. So these last brackets, just x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. So now first I'm going to distribute in the x with all 3 of those terms, and then the h with all of those 3 terms, and then only with my answer I'm going to multiply the minus 3 in. So just bear with me. X cubed plus 2x squared h plus xh squared. So that's if I multiply everything by x. Now I'm going to multiply everything by h, and that would give me x squared h plus 2xh squared, and then the last one would be plus h cubed. If I now add the like terms and multiply the minus 3 in, my final answer would be minus 3x cubed plus, there's a 3x squared h times negative 3. So this is minus 9x squared h. The other one also minus 9x h squared, and then minus 3h cubed. That was long. Now I can just sub that into the first principles formula and then subtract the original and see what can cancel out. Like always, everything that does not have an h cancels out, so the first one and the last one cancels. From what's left, I can take out h as a common factor, so minus 9x squared minus 9xh, and minus 3h squared is what's left. This h cancels this h, And what's left then is minus 9x squared minus 9xh minus 3h squared. I can now sub in the limit to see the derivative of this whole thing is just equal to minus 9x squared. The others would be multiplied by 0, so they would just cancel out. There we go. So that is the derivative of a x cubed function. So answer is very small, but the process to get there is very long. Where would you get your 5 marks? Definitely for foiling out those 3 brackets, for subbing in, taking out h, then for subbing the 0 or the limit into the answer, and then for the final answer, you'd get your 5th mark. Now for question 4, like I said, you really need to know how to do the fraction one, because that's the only one that has a different step in the middle than the normal ones without fractions. So I am going to start the same way. I write down fx, I write down fx plus h as well, and this is an easy one because I don't need to simplify, I can just sub it in. Okay, I'm going to start my first principles with that orange function, and then I'm going to say minus 4 over x, so minus the original, and now I need to LCD. So I can see my LCD is going to be x, and then x plus h in a bracket. Please don't say, oh, there's already an x, so I don't need to multiply. Doesn't work like that. So the minus 4, I need to multiply by the x on the blue side. Then there's a minus and a minus, so that becomes a plus 4. And this one I need to multiply by x plus h. All of that will be over x and then bracket x plus h. There I did the LCD step. Please make sure you understand exactly how I got there. Now I am going to say divided by h instead of over h again, because then I can tip in times. Okay, my next step, I'm just going to go over to blue. You can now see what was orange, what was blue. But from now, just one color, just to save time. So this is minus 4x plus 4h all over x squared plus xh, and then times 1 over h. So in this case, the minus 4x and the plus 4x cancelled. Now there's just one term at the top. If I put a bracket around the bottom, it's also one term. I can cancel the h's out now. So in this step now, I can sub in the limit. So the derivative of f would be equal to 4 over x squared plus x times 0. And my final answer for this sum would then just be 4 over x squared. Okay, guys, how did this go? Did it make sense or really not? Please let me know. I love your comments and would like to help if there's something I can. Okay, let's see where the 5 marks would come from. So for getting your fx plus h, subbing correctly into the formula. For this one, I would say for getting your LCD would also be a mark. And then for simplifying, I don't think they'll give a mark, but for subbing in your limit and your final answer, you'll get the 5th mark. Now we get to a question that's in an exam paper. So I always love giving you guys examples of actual exam questions so you can see what level you need to be on. So this comes from the 2017 IEB paper. So for all the government students, yours is normally not as difficult. The previous 4 that we did is normal government papers. That's the level you can expect. But it's always better to just be prepared for something horrible. You never know when it's your year when they're going to start ramping up the difficulty. So let's just look at this. So what's different with this one is there's a bracket. And as you'll learn later in calculus, I cannot derive when x is in a bracket. So that's going to be my first step. Even with the normal original function, I first need to FOIL this out. And I know that is x squared minus 6x plus 9. If I lost you, please just write out the 2 brackets, do your foiling method, and you'll see that is the answer. Now for the fx plus h, I am going to take the simplified version without brackets to then sub in my x plus h. So x plus h squared minus 6x plus h, and then plus 9. Okay, I cannot leave it like this. I first need to simplify further before I can sub it into the first principles formula. So this would be x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 6x minus 6h plus 9. Okay, great. Now I can sub that into the big formula up top and then see what can cancel out. Okay, and the normal rule still applies. X squared would cancel the x squared. Then the next 2 terms have h's, so I'm not going to even look at them. But here's a minus 6x. If I multiply this minus in, it becomes a plus 6x there. And then a plus 9 and a minus 9 would cancel. So what I actually have left is 2xh plus h squared minus 6h. I can take out h as a common. So 2x, then plus h, and then minus 6. Okay, so now the h's can cancel. And I don't have a fraction there anymore, so this is just 2x minus 6 plus h. I can now make the h 0, so the derivative of f in this case would just be 2x minus 6 plus 0, and therefore the derivative is really just equal to 2x minus 6. Okay, that was question 1. In this specific case, there was a follow-up question. So determine the gradient of f when x is equal to minus 3. Now, at the beginning of all the calculus videos, I told you guys that the derivative has another name, which is the gradient of a function at a specific point. So they are just asking me, what is the answer if I sub in x as minus 3? So that's what I'm going to do. So For question 2, I'm just going to write, I know m is what I'm going to get if I sub in something into the derivative. So I'm not going to say derivative of x, I'm going to say derivative of minus 3. So 2 times minus 3 minus 6 would actually give me minus 12 is the answer. Okay, let's see where we would get our marks. So you'll get a mark for getting your x plus h, subbing incorrectly, taking h out as a common factor, and then subbing in your limit and getting the final answer. For question 2, you would get your marks for knowing to sub in minus 3 in the place of x, and then for getting the answer. How did you do with these questions? Did you get 27 out of 27, or was it a bit more tricky than you expected? So this is all about just studying the recipe and following the recipe. So if it was a struggle, please just go back and check the theory video. Otherwise, let's move on with this big calculus chapter.
If this video helped you, please like and subscribe.
JMath.